So we segmented the tree channel, the tree biological structure. So it's actually this segmentation was quite easy because you can see the contrast is quite good. So maybe Jeff will show you later how to do some basic segmentation. Okay. So something I also like to do, something like this. Analyze tools, and then I have a sync windows. Analyze tools, sync windows. So it's quite useful when you have multiple images, like multiple channels. And then you have multiple images. And then here we want to synchronize all images. Okay, just click synchronize all. And then you will see. So now you have the same Z for all the images together at the same time. So it's easier to check what's happening. And then also for the localization. You see this one, this spot is actually, this one. And then this spot is here, it's near this nucleolus. And so on, so on. So you can see the tree, the mouse, the pointer, you can see inside all overlay on top of all the images. So it's quite useful when you have many images. Okay, good. Okay, let's go to the core of the thing, 3D Manager. So plugins, 3D. So 3D, so it's a bunch of plugins. Like every day we add 1, 2 plugins. So after 10 years, it's like, wow, crazy. So just to quickly show you what is what. So 3D association track is a kind of new thing. It's beta, so you can use it, but there's no, not sure it's working well. It should work actually. It's more for tracking. If you do some segmentation at frame t, and then you have segmentation at frame t+1, you do the association 1, 1, the best association between object at frame t and object at frame t+1. So the idea is more for tracking, but eventually you may want to use it for other information. So 1, 1 association. Fast filters. This is more for 3D filtering. So we can check. So many filters, mean, median, minimum, maximum. So the filter you have in image, but for a 3D version. So since it's a 3D, in a 2D you have only one radius. This is the XY radius. In 3D you have the XY radius, that should be the same, and the Z radius, that may be different, because the size, the calibration of your pixel is different, especially in confocal, this kind of thing, in Z on XY. So maybe your object, if your object is a 10 micron, maybe it's it's 5 pixel in XY, but only 2 pixel in Z because of the difference in the anisotropy in XYZ. So if you want to do some filtering, you may want to do like filtering with different values in XYZ. Here, everything is about segmentation. So the simple segmentation is like a 3D object counter or the thresholding. So simple segmentation, just give a one, we'll see later, just give a one threshold and it will do the segmentation. Spot segmentation, we will see later. So more specific for spot. Nucleus segmentation is more like you take it's more like for culture, it's not for tissue. For tissue, it's a nightmare to segment a nuclei in a tissue. So if you have a nuclei in a culture cell, 2D culture cell, basically we do the projection, we detect in 2D with the watershed, and then we expand in 3D. So it's quite simple, but it's working quite well. Iterative thresholding, we will see later maybe. Manual spot. So if you have some spot, you can add some spot, remove some spot if spot segmentation didn't do a good job. It's a bit like rustic. but it's still working. This part is more like mathematical morphology. So to improve the segmentation, if you need to, maybe we will use this one, binary close label. So once you detect your object, you may want to have your object like a compact shape. Maybe the shape is a bit not so smooth, so you want to smooth the shape of your object. So you may want to use this binary close label. Distance map, we will see later what I showed also. So we'll focus on this one. So this part is analysis. So we have the 3D manager, and then you see 3D centroid. So 3D centroid, okay, let's check this one. Okay, so very simple. So maybe I'll do it again. So 3D, what is this thing? Oops. So I want to, so I have 3 objects here, and I want to do some measurement on these 3 objects. So you select this image, up, plugins, 3D centroid, just to show you the idea. So you have the result table with 3 lines. The label is the name of the image, right? The value is the value of the object. When you have a segmented image, each object has a value. The ID, its ID. Usually we see it by a color, but actually it's what we call an ID. So the value is the ID, and then the CX, CY, CZ. It should be everything in a pixel, right? The CY should be a pixel. Is the coordinate of the center, geometrical center of the object. So once you have a label image, you can have any measurement you want. So we see we can do the same for geometrical measure, shape measure, and this kind of thing, but we will do the same thing with 3D Manager. This thing is a bit more advanced, like the density, EVF, we'll try to see later. And this one is more like utilities to draw some shape, to draw the borders on the original image, this kind of thing. So we have a lot of things. So a lot of things you usually can do a lot of things with 3D Manager. You maybe can do more or less the same thing with some other plugins, or some plugins do the different things. Yes, so somebody raise hand. Good, it's working. Please.
Yes, I raised Gayatri. I just had a simple note. So, does the geometrical 3D measurements also involve measuring the volume?
Yes. So
Okay,
we will see. 2D geometrical measurement is the basic measurement like volume and surface, basically.
okay, okay.
The basic thing you can measure on a 3D object.
Mhm.
And shape measurement will be more like the shape. Is it very round, very compact, very elongated, this kind of thing. So we have geometrical measurement, basically the volume, and shape measurement. Is it round, the compactness, and this kind of thing.
Okay.
So, okay. So now we go to 3D Manager. So raising hand is a good thing because I can see somebody raising hand, so I can I can stop and give the. So, okay. So I have my image. I have my 3D Manager here. So okay. So it looks a bit okay. Looks like this. Very simple. So the idea is to put the object I want here. So the thing is here, add image. Actually, add image is more like add the objects that are inside this image. So you select the image where you have some objects. You just click add image and that's it. And here in the log window, you should have adding 3 objects. Well, I added 3 objects. In case you have multiple objects, you can just draw an array and say, oh, add image. I only want to add the images within this circle. In case you have some noise object around, you can say, okay, I only want to add object within this circle or within this array. You can do this also. Okay, so we have two objects. Okay, it's good. So what? So what we want to do eventually, first we want to check. I know biologists want to be sure what they are talking about, so they want to check what are these three objects. So if I click on three objects, I cannot see anything. So you want to see something, I guess. So you have to click this thing, live array. By default, it should be off. So you just click a live array on. So if you want to see GObjects on the image, you have to click on this live array on. It should be on. And then you select the object you want to see. So, okay, object 1, object 2, object 3. So of course on this image, it's just for validation. And so you see if you change the Z, you will see the contour of the 3D object on all the slices. So of course this is the original, the label image, so it's not fun, it's just to check everything is working well. So you can use this thing with the other images, like the raw data, for instance. Maybe it's more interesting. So you detect some object and you want to check if the segmentation is good. So you have your object and you want to see. So you select this image. Up and just a bit, okay. And you select the object you want. So you see the object, the contour of the object on the original image. So you can have an idea of the quality eventually of the segmentation. So this is the basic thing I quite use a lot just to check. So of course you can select multiple objects, control click to select multiple objects, or shift click to select a list of objects like any list on a computer. So I have my three objects, so I can see, and I can do this on all the window if I want. Yep, like C2. Can use this image up. So you have an idea. Oh, you can see some spots are inside the nucleoli. So is it something you were expecting or not? I don't. Okay. So this is the basic thing. First for visualization. So you can do a simple thing like a rename. So I know this thing is a nucleoli, just for it's maybe useful for later for the analysis. So you remember what you're talking about. You just rename a nucleoli. Okay, so now I have three objects, nucleoli 1, 2, 3. Okay, so just a basic thing we can do. Of course, you can delete, remove an object from the list. It will just remove the object from the list, not from the image. If you click erase, it should remove the object from the list on the image. So just delete is removed from the list, erase just delete from the image also. Eventually, you may want to merge two objects. If they are separated, but it should be one object. Split in two, if you have one object that actually two objects merged together, you can try split in two. It's not working always, but it's something you can try. So you can also save. So for the object, you can see the object here inside the image. But if you edit a bit your list of objects like nucleoli, you're not interested in nucleoli 1, you just remove it. So you can save. Here we have save objects here, and then you can save the object here. Nucleolus array 3d.zip. Yeah. So you can save the object. It will save the object. There's no image at all. It's just object. And the only way to reload this file is inside 3D Manager. Only 3D Manager can load this 3D array and then load object. Just click and you see 3 more objects because it will add to the thing. Yep, what we have else? So just we focus beginning in visualization. So we have 3 objects. Yep. Yep. So we do like a label. I forgot about this one. Just check what it's doing. It should do something like. Yes. So it will label. It will put the name of the object inside the image, but only cannot put, since it's a 3D. It will put only on the central slice of the object. So here we have nucleolide 2 here. Yep. And then, so in 3D it's a bit difficult to put some label. Nucleolide 3 and the one, where is the one, number 1, and the one here. So 1, 2, and 3. So okay, basic thing. We can see them in a 3D viewer. Since we have a 3D object, it may be interesting to see them in 3D viewer. So let's say I want to do something nice. I want to impress my boss. So I want 3 objects, 3 different colors. So first I need to choose the color. So let's say yep, okay, red, I'm happy with red. I just click 3D viewer. I select the first object, 3D viewer. Yep. So you have the first object in 3D viewer. And then you can select another color, green, and the second object, 3D viewer. So now you have the second object, oops, in 3D viewer. Oops, need to do a bit more like this. So you see a bit more the relationship between the 2 objects. It's like here, like touching each other a bit like this here. So it's quite interesting. So 3D viewer, just to remind you, if you use the small end, you rotate. If you use the lens, you will just magnify or use the zoom. Then okay, let's do the third one. Yep. And then 3D viewer. Okay. So we have our 3 objects. It's quite nice. But so you can see the step. Tap. This is all the slices, because it's just a microscopy. So your first slice, second slice, it's not very smooth. The surface is not very smooth. So what we can do in a 3D viewer, we can smooth the surface. So the idea is to choose one object, right click, choose one object, right click, and then you have smooth. Choose one object, right click, smooth, and then usually I use like smooth control. Right click on object, smooth control, and then process all meshes. We want to smooth all the objects. If you want to smooth one, okay, so just select one, and then just click here and be patient, depending on your graphic card on your computer. Usually up to 10, 20, it's already 10 is quite nicer actually than from the beginning. Okay. So of course this you can create a movie, a rendering, a snapshot, no problem. What you can want to see eventually is to see through the object. So edit. So you can change the color of the object, of course, change the transparency. So usually to make it transparent, we put 50. So that's not working very well for this one. Yes, yeah. You can see through this one, we can see the other one behind. So we will use this. Not depending on the graphic card, is not working. Yeah, depending on your computer. But here you can see the red object through the green object. We will use this later. You can do it as an exercise to do the same for the nucleus and see the object inside the nucleus, as transparent objects. Yeah.
There's a question of Lior. Is it possible to overlay the original image in 3D viewer?
This is what we did just now, no? Is it something like this?
Maybe you want the original in presence, maybe?
This is the original image on the segmented object.
No, I meant, so you just showed us in the 3D viewer,
yep,
the 3 objects where you change transparency. So would it be possible now to add, for example, the first channel of the image where this came from?
Yeah. Okay, so yep. So it's more like what is it? Edit?
Add?
Yeah. Add. Yes. Add. Add from image. So from image, so now we want to, from the raw data, name, blah, 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 display as volume. So we will see all the volume, all the pixels, blah, 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 volume, blah, blah, blah. So channel, we want all the channels, or maybe if we choose only the first or the, okay, the first channel maybe? No, maybe the second one. Okay, you can to play with this later. Okay, so it's not a channel. Okay, so here, the small spot in green, you can see the visualization is a bit different. So it's becoming from the raw data. It's not from the segmented data. So we can do the same with the segmented data. So we can see the 3 objects on the spots on the same image. So of course you can add as many images you want. Something like this. Then you can record 360 rotation and this kind of thing. Text name, snapshot, etc., and so on. Can create a nice movie. Okay, so our first movie. Yes. Thank you, you're quite nice now. So you can export this, save as AVI, and put in your presentation. No problem. Okay. So the other thing to finish maybe with visualization is to have this thing like a recorded. I want to record this thing because all this area is like overlay. But if I save the image, I don't have this overlay. So maybe I want to draw the overlay on this image to save this image with the contours of the object. So this thing is the plugins 3D. So I'll show you something because utilities. Okay, so we'll do something because I will be a bit tired of clicking the same place. So plugins, utilities, control panel. Plugin, utilities, control panel. And then you will see the menu here. So it's maybe easier to do. And I know I will always use the 3D stuff. So I just want to have a menu of all the 3D stuff. So you have plugins, 3D, I just click on 3D and put it outside. Okay, sorry, bye-bye. So now I have all the menu of 3D here. No need to click 1 million times to get to what I want. Okay, so it's quite useful when you're always using the same thing. When you're focusing on a menu, you always use the same thing. So I wanted to show you 3D draw array. So it's exactly the same as this thing, right? plugin 3D. Yeah, it's just easier to access, right? I wanted to show this one, 3D Draw Array. So you double click on what you want. So 3D Draw Array will create this kind of image. So the raw data will be sample fish mini. The objects I want to draw on the raw data will be C1, C2, or C3. So maybe we just do C2 for a change. Okay, so we'll draw the object coming from the image C2 onto the raw data sample fish mini. Okay, and I have something like this. So yeah, since the since the objects are quite small, the contours are quite small, but actually here's the contour. So maybe it's better to do this with a C3. Let's do this again for C3. So I just need to click up. The raw data is sample fish mini, and I want C3. Okay, so now you can see it will draw the contour of the object onto the raw image using the color you chose. So here I chose the blue color, the cyan color. So yeah, you can easily create. So you have all the information, the raw data on the object detected. This is my raw data. I detected this nucleoli here. Yeah, everything okay? Okay, good. Okay, let's do some analysis, right? Let's do some measurement. So I have three objects. I want to do some measurement. So, okay, just I select the object I want to measure and then click Measure 3D. Okay, it's not too complicated. Just click, boom, okay, done. So I have the 3D measurement of my three objects. And you have like a bunch of measurement, like 1 million measurement. So we try to understand what are all these measurements. So these are all the measurements I can do with my on my three objects. So maybe we will go into no details, but try to explain what we have. Number is just the line number 0, 1, 2. Okay, no problem. The name of the object, nucleoli 1, 2, 3. Okay. The label, so the ID of the object inside the original image. You remember inside the segmented image. The type, so this one is like a classification. You can do manual classification. We'll see later. So the first three here, the centroid in pixel. Here the same in unit. The coordinate of the centroid in unit, in pixel unit. Here the volume in unit. Here the volume in pixel. So actually this one is the number of voxel within the object. So this one is just the number of voxel multiplied by the value, by the volume of one voxel. So now we have the same for the surface. So the surface is like the contour I draw. What is the number of voxel of the contour I show you later. So now I have the same thing in a unit. So the surface, you can see it's a bit pixelated, it's like steps. So maybe we want to smooth a bit the surface. So we have something called the corrected surface. So it's eventually a bit more accurate. It's like a corrected surface. But computing surface, it's quite difficult on a 3D digital image because it's not very smooth. So surface is very complicated to compute surface. So don't rely too much on surface. Here we have comp is a compactness, sphere is sphericity. So compactness and sphericity is basically a ratio between the volume and the surface. If the object is very, very round, the ratio will be 1. The idea is to have one for a perfect sphere. So when it's very low, means it's quite far from the sphere. So compactness and sphericity are related. Don't worry. So we can compute this using the pixel value or the unit value, or using the corrected. So there are many ways of computing this ratio. We can have many. We have 3 different surfaces, so we compute 3 different compactness. Compactness discrete. So this one another way. So maybe this one may be a bit more accurate. Is a specific computation for compactness for object like voxels. So this one eventually may be a bit more accurate than the previous one. This one are based on the computation of surface. So 9 is not so accurate, not so robust. This one should be quite accurate, quite robust actually. So if you're really interested in compactness, maybe have a look at this one, comp discrete. Maybe this one quite interesting. This 3L means ellipsoid. So we will fit an ellipsoid to the object. It's not very good, but just to give you the idea. In 3D, of course, we will try to fit in 3D an ellipsoid to the object, and we'll get what is the largest radius for this ellipsoid in 3D. Elongation is the ratio between the largest radius and the second radius. Flatness is the ratio between the second radius and the third radius. So if you play rugby, it's more of American football, you see the thing, you can have an American football ball very flat if you just press it. So we have 3 radius for an ellipsoid. And then after we have blah, blah, blah. So ratio, so the volume of the ellipsoid, the ratio between the object, the volume of the object and the volume of the ellipsoid. So if it's close to 1, that means the object is really close to its ellipsoid. DC is so now DC is more something like this. So we have so we have a center of the object, and we have a lot of distances between the center and the border. I just draw some just for fun in 3D. So I have a lot of distance from the center of the object to the contour of the object. I have many distances. And what I do, we compute the minimum distance. So maybe for this one is like this. Maybe the maximum distance is this one. We also compute the average distance and the standard deviation of all these distances. So so here you have basically what we call geometrical measurement, the volume and surface. Here, compactness, ellipsoid, blah, 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 is like the shape measurement. Give an idea of the shape of the 3D object. What you can do with this, if you have if you have only 3 is not so fun, but if you want to see what is the largest object, you go on a volume, unit or pixel, whatever, on the column, volume, and then you click on the column, and it will sort the column for you. Right? So you just up. So now this object is the largest one. So if you had 3, it's not so very fun, but you have a lot. You can easily find what is the largest object. So what you can do then is you can save. If you save all the measurement into a spreadsheet format. So you can open with Excel and do your analysis. Save selection, it will just save the line you selected. If you don't want to save all the measurement. And show objects, let's say, oh, I want to see what is the largest object. So I just click show objects, and you see, voilà, show objects nuclei number 2. So this is this one, and this is selected on this image. So you can visualize your selection. So the largest object is this one. I can see it here.
Thomas, there is a question about from Elizabeth.
Yep.
How are the distances calculated?
So the distances are calculated in a unit. So that's mean in a micron most of the time, or nanometer. Yeah, if you can see, yeah, if you increase a bit, you can see it should be like unit. Yeah, okay. Don't play too much with this. So all the distances are real 3D distances in a unit, in micron or nanometer. So the DC, just to repeat, the DC distances, I take the center of the object, I go to the border. So I have a lot of objects, a lot of voxels on the border. So I have a lot of distances. I get the minimum distance, the maximum distance, and the average distance, and the standard deviation distance of all these distances in 3D. Everything in 3D, if it's right in unit, it will be in unit like the micrometer, nanometer, the unit of your image. If it's right in pix, I mean it's just voxel, no calibration. Is it okay?
Even if the calibration is different in Z and X and Y.
Exactly. This is the distance is using the XYZ calibration. So of course, if you have two objects in XY like this, and like 2 pixels apart, if you have also 2 pixels apart but in Z, the distance may be larger in nanometer and micrometer because the calibration is larger in Z. So 2 pixels in XY may be smaller than 2 pixels in Z. So of course, the distance are using all this calibration. So it's you can trust the distance. It's a real distance, micrometer, nanometer. Okay. So if you don't want, let's say you don't want all this measurement, you can select the measurement you want. The same as in a analyze set measurement in 2D, analyze set measurement. Here you have settings here. So it should be, so setting, you have the measurement you want to do. So volume, surface, compactness, fit ellipse, 3D moments, it's a bit more advanced. It's just for a physician, more like after the ellipsoid fitting, what is the shape. Convex hull, so it will try to find a 3D convex hull, so a bit more, very slow, a bit more advanced stuff. And then this thing is more for the intensity. So we will see just now for the intensity. Integrated density, the sum of all the intensity within an object using the raw data intensity, the mean gray value, the mean intensity inside an object, standard deviation, the mode, ferret. We didn't use the ferret here. You can use the ferret if you want. The largest distance between 2 points of the object in 3D. So it's like the diameter. Minimum gray value, it's a bit mixed up. Maximum gray value, centroid, okay, the center of the object. Distance to surface is this DC thing, all the distance from the center to the border. So you just check the measurement you want to, don't want. Object numbering, we'll see later. So let's say we have our nucleus, we want just to know how many spots inside. We will use this object numbering. Just compute how many objects inside some objects. Bounding box, okay, and the closest object eventually. Okay, so this thing, in case you have more than 65,000 objects inside your image, if you do segmentation, you will need to use like a 32-bit images. If you have 100,000 objects, some people have. That's crazy. And 3D Manager can handle this, but yeah. So you will need a 32-bit image because the 16-bit image can only go up to 65,000. So if you have an object 80,000, you cannot use this one in a 60-bit image. So in case you have a crazy image, you can use this. Of course, you have to exclude, it's more like add image. You can exclude object touching X, Y, or Z. And then here, the drawing, for instance, the drawing, you can just, the contour. So you will see the contour of the object. When you do live array, you can do the sphere or point, it's just the center of the object. In case you don't want the contour, just the center. And then you can also have the bounding box if you want. So let's try the bounding box. It's not, yep. You see, you have the bounding box of the object. So depending on what you want. So usually I prefer a contour, but you can use over display. You need to refresh a bit. Okay. Okay. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Some intensity measurement now, right? Okay, so we have 3 objects. We want to do some measurement. What is the intensity measurement for the 3 channels? Nucleus labeling, spot labeling, and nucleoli labeling in the original image. So of course, here we have our objects. Here we have the original intensity, untouched, no filter, the raw data. And we want to know for the 3 objects, we select the 3 objects, what is the intensity within this 3 objects for inside this image. Okay, so we select this image, and then this one, Quantif 3D quantification, fluorescence intensity quantification inside the object. Just click. Hopla. So 2 things. The first thing is this one. This image is a 4D image, X, Y, Z on channel. So here just say you, oh, I will do the measurement only in channel 1, on frame 1. In case you have many frames, like many time point, it will just do the selected channel on the selected frame point. We will see later. We just change the channel. It will do the measurement in channel 2. They just tell you, okay, I do the measurement into this channel on this time point. Okay, so the same ID. So you know the name, the label, the type. So we need to do this. The type at center. So the intensity at the center of the object. What is the intensity value at the center of the object? The CM is a center of mass. So it's the geometrical center weighted by the intensity. So if the intensity is not homogeneous, the center of mass may be different from the geometrical center. So the center of mass is weighted by the intensity. It's attracted by the intensity. The more intensity, yes?
There's a question from Gayatri. She raised her hand.
Yes. Sorry, and thank you. So I was just wondering that since these images are all changing Z, does it also work the same if I have changing T? Like just one dimension changing. I don't change Z, but change T.
So that means you have an image with many T time, right?
Like different channels and many T, but
Yep.
not.
Yeah, yes. So instead of C here, it will be like T.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. It will be the same. So
Okay.
you have to check if the image should be correctly labeled. So it should be really T. So the computer should know that this thing should be T, this thing is Z. But of course, it will be like instead of T, it will write maybe C1, T1, and then C1, T2, and so on and so on.
Okay.
So it's working exactly the same. If it's a T instead of, if you have many T, it will do the measurement for the selected T on C, channel on time, working exactly the same. Yep, so we have the intensity measurement at the geometrical center of mass. Yep.
Another question from
Yep.
Judith. If I have a 3D image of a tissue, can I make an intensity measurement of only the membrane of the cells?
So
just the...
yep. Yeah. Okay, so we have this object, and you want the intensity not for the inside of the object, but only for the border of the object. I think this is your question. So by default, it will do all the intensity within the object, everything we see here. So what you may want to do is to say, oh, my object is not this, but only the border of this. So for this, we need a bit of mathematical morphology. So okay, let me finish this and then we go back. Maybe it's a quite interesting question. So the center of mass in a pixel and unit, integrated density is just the sum of all the intensity within the object for this intensity value, the average intensity, the standard deviation intensity. This one, if in case this image is not intensity label, but like over objects, it will number the over object within this object. So if we don't use this intensity image here, but the spot label image, it will count the number of spots within this tree object. Maybe we will see this later. So let's play with the membrane a bit. So to get the membrane, so you want the membrane inside or outside, or okay, we'll see outside. So to get the membrane, what we need to do, we need to dilate the object to make the object a bit bigger. And so it will be the membrane a bit outside. If we want the membrane a bit inside, we may want to erode the image. So okay, let's try this. So first we want to duplicate the image. When you do some processing, try to duplicate in case there's a mistake, or yeah, just something good to do to duplicate the image. So let's say we want to delete a bit this image. So for deletion, in 2D you use a process binary delete, this kind of thing. In 3D it's not working. In 3D you need to use something else. So in 3D you need to use something like this. Process filters maximum 3D. Maximum 3D, since the background is 0, if I do maximum, I will compute for each pixel the maximum value around. If I'm just here, next to the object, a bit outside, the maximum will be inside the object. If I'm here, around everything 0. So the maximum will delete the object, and the minimum will just erode the object. This is the mathematical morphology thing. So just anyway, you can play with it. Maximum 3D. So let's say 2 to maybe just 1. 1, 1, 1. So you can see the, okay. So the objects are slightly bigger, just 1 pixel, 1 pixel bigger. So we can use this thing anyway. And you see, they are 1 layer of pixel bigger, right? So these objects are 1 pixel larger than these objects. So now if I do the difference between these two images, so just rename this one dilated, so I know which one. So now I want the difference. I just want the border, this 1 pixel border. Process image calculator. And then now I do deletion, subtract, easy as this, subtract C3. Create new window, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yes. Chip. Okay. So actually it's the contour. This is what we wanted. So now we have only the contour. On the contour, you look up table. So we have the 3 contour with 3 different labels. So this will be our new 3 objects. So instead of add image this one, we will add image this one. So the 3 objects we have will be only the membrane. The membrane is our object, not the inside. So then you can put this one inside and then do the intensity measurement. It will be just only inside this object now that are the membrane. So yeah, so you can do a lot of things. You have first to define clearly what are your objects. If your objects are this, of course, you will do the measurement inside. If the objects are this, intensity measurement will be just inside this object, and this object actually looks like membrane or contour of objects. So this thing we can easily do. So of course you see the contour it's in Z. So of course you have some layers in Z, also. Some more space just to close the object in 3D. Okay. Yeah, so you can define borders of membranes for the objects. Wow, Yurik is eating a banana. Good, very interesting object, a banana, because the center, geometrical center of the banana is not inside the banana. So very interesting. Yeah. Okay, intensity measurement. Okay. So now we just want to count the number of spots inside the nucleus, right? So, okay. So now we can delete this. Yes. So now we want to count the number of spots inside the nucleus. So I want the object will be this. My object is this, the C1, add image. Okay, just one object, very simple. And then I want to measure to the quantification inside this object, but I want to quantify. What do I want to quantify? I want to quantify this C2. Yes, C2. Of course, I can quantify the intensity within the object nucleus, like using the raw image. But if I use now this image with some objects, the quantification will be more like numbering. So I just select my object, my image, quantification 3D. Okay, so the same thing. So here we are more focusing here on these two columns. Number of objects. I have 39 objects within this object 1, and the volume occupied by this 39 object is 3000 something. So now for here I have only one object, so it's not quite interesting, but you have many objects. You can have the number of other objects inside this bigger object for all the objects. So this is more like the here what I show you, like the object numbering here. So this quantification 3D will both quantify the intensity and also quantify the intensity in case you use like a raw data, or quantify the number of objects in case you have label data. Yeah, is it clear? So this thing you can do both. So it's quite interesting. So just to remind you, sorry, I will move your face. Here, yep, you have the same thing here. 3D geometrical measure. 3D, so this is volume and surface. 3D shape measure is more like the compactness. 3D intensity measure is more like the intensity measure, integrated density, and so on and so on. 3D numbering is just what we just see now, and this kind of thing, everything here. Okay, so maybe what do we want? The next one is okay. Check if okay. I wanted to show you classification. Just before we do some distances. Okay, another exercise. Okay, we do this. So now we have the nucleus and we try to play a bit with the spot. Okay, so we have this image with the nucleus. So we add the other image with the spot. We can have objects coming from two different images. There's no problem. So this is why it's interesting to rename your object to know what you're talking about. So the first one is nucleus, and then the rest. So I select all the other objects, rename spots. So now I can do all the measurement between the nucleus and the spot. So this can be interesting eventually to save this list where you have the nucleus and the spot together. It can be quite interesting. So okay, so the next one is distances. We will see later with Jess, maybe with Diana, how it can be a bit more interesting to have this kind of distances. So for this one, of course, you have one list with the object coming from different images. In Diana, we can see we have two lists, so it's a bit more straightforward. So let's say we want to measure the distance between nucleus 1 and spot 1. The first spot, okay, let's do this and then something else I want to show, but it's okay. So now this one distances, right? So the distance between two objects, we need two objects to measure the distance. If you have one object and distances, okay, you need two objects, right? So the distance between the nucleus and the first spot. So where is the first spot inside the nucleus? Yep. Okay, the first spot is here. So just to have an idea what we are going to measure. Okay, blah, 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 nucleus, spot. And do the measurement, distances. Yep. So what do we have? A lot of things. First we have okay, the line number. Okay, don't care about this. So maybe it's more interesting to look at this. So first the distance between nucleus 1 and spot 1. Also we have the distance between spot 1 and nucleus 1, because maybe it's not completely symmetric. We will see how is it. So this one, the first one, center distance between nucleus 1 and spot 1, center to center distance. The center of the nucleus to the center of the spot. Okay, so 3 micrometer, I guess. So now this one is the center of the nucleus to the border of the spot. Okay, not so fun, I guess. Maybe this one a bit more interesting. Spot 1, nucleus 1, the center of the spot to the border of the nucleus. So this one will be a bit more interesting. It will be like, well, I don't know where the spots. Yep. The spot is here. So it's like the closest distance between the spot on the nucleus. The center of the spot to the border of the nucleus. Center distance is more like this. Center of the spot to the center of the nucleus. Eventually, for nucleus, you're more interested by the distance to the border, to the membrane. Center border distance. So it's like a border distance here. So center distance, center border. Okay. Border. Yeah. So you can be interested between these two. That means the border of the spot is at a distance 0 of the border of the nucleus. Right? So that means the spot is at the periphery of the nucleus, because there is no distance between the object, the border of the object, and the border of the nucleus. So that means the spot is touching the border of the nucleus. This one is just the closest object from the, maybe for spot more interesting. The closest object of spot 1 is spot 12. Okay, in case you want to do more like one-to-one interaction on distances. Okay, so this is what we have with this. Yes, okay. Can do a bit
Always
more. But
the minimum distances with the border.
yes. When we say border, that means the border of the object. So that means, of course, the minimum distance. you have the same thing in the plugin 3D distances. You measure the distances between object from image A to object in image B. And you can compute the closest, only the closest object from object A in image A to image B, or all the distances. And then you have also more advanced distance like Hausdorff distance, but it's mostly more or less the same. Distance, angles. Bon, eventually, if you want to measure the angles, you need 3 objects. So maybe very specific. Yeah. So you have 3 angles between the three spots. Yep, like this. Yep. Okay. Tuk. Measure the object, the angle between three objects. So depending really on some specific application. Okay. So
There's a question
yeah.
from Maiva. I may have missed it in the border calculation. Since we have 3D data, which point of the border is with it taking into account for calculation?
So as you said, Jeff, it will take into account always the closest point. So here I just show you the border onto this 2D slice, but of course it will be in 3D. So basically it will compute all the border distance between all the points, and it will keep the minimum distance. So the border distance is the minimum distance in 3D between the 2 objects. And the Hausdorff distance is more like this one. But it's depending on what your application, but the border distance usually quite interesting. This is the smallest absolute distance between 2 objects, the border distance.
It takes many CPU and calculation for doing
yes.
depending of the number of objects.
Because you compute all the border distance for all the contours, this one in 3D. So if you have very big objects, this border distance may be very, very time consuming, and it can take very long. So don't be surprised if you do some distances computation. If it's not center, it can be quite long. It's more or less the same for ferret. So ferret is like this border distance within one object. I take the one a voxel from an object. So I have this distance between all the pair of a border, and then I take the largest one. So also this ferret computation may take a long time, especially if you have a big object. So this 3D thing, the time to compute, it will take into account the size of the object and also the number of objects you have.
There is a question from Xiaowei. So the algorithm first determines whether the 2 objects have any overlapping voxel, and if so, is it 0? Yes, so when they are touching, it's 0.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. When they are really touching, so that means the smallest distance is 0. That means they are touching. So right, when the board, usually we use this border distance to see if the object are touching. If the border distance is 0, the object are really touching, or eventually colocalizing if they're coming from 2 different images. But if the two objects, yeah.
I guess I mean like when one spot is inside the other object, like when we wonder, the border to border distance, we might be thinking like some non-zero distance, but it still returns 0.
So of course you're right. So yep. So this one is the yep. So yep. So I take this spot. I check. It's not the border of this spot is not touching the border of the nucleus. So the border distance may be like 1 or 2 pixels. even if this object is within, because we consider the border of the nucleus. The border of the nucleus is this. So when we consider border distance, we consider distance between the border of the nucleus and the border of the spot. So the border distance of the spot may be between this border of the nucleus, of the spot, to this border of the nucleus, just on top. So we may think it's here, the closest distance, maybe it's just there in Z, just on top. This is why doing 2D distances is absolutely wrong, because actually this object, this spot is just at top of the nucleus, so it's touching, almost touching the membrane, but the membrane is just on top of it. So this is why we need to do like 3D distances. So border distance, when objects are inside, it may not be 0. It will be 0 if the objects are touching, if the border of objects are touching. Of course, you have to decide if the object is outside, it may touch from inside or touch from outside. So to distinguish this, we will need to do some colocalization to see if colocalization is 100%, that means this object is within this object. If the object is outside, colocalization will be 0 and the object will be outside. So we need, sometimes we need both the distance and the colocalization to see first if the object is inside another object, and second if it's touching the border.